All right, the last thing we're going to do in your sketchbook to get ready with your cones and cylinders and spheres is do the shadows that go along with those. So here we go. I'm going to put the eye line up high, and I'm going to do one eye line because everything I draw is going to be below it. Okay? Now, for your purposes in this class, if it's not below the eye line, it's not going to have a shadow. Do things up here. I don't know if you can see me. There we go. Do things up here above the eye line actually have a shadow? Yes, they do, but we're not going to worry about that for this class. So for your purposes, if the object is above the eye line, it will not have a shadow. If it's below the eye line, it will have a shadow. Okay? So let's start with the cylinders first. Okay, there's cylinder right here. Like that. Let's do above front left. I'm not going to worry about doing this because hopefully you already understand. It would be white over to black. This would be white. That would be gray 1. And you would shade it like it's supposed to be shaded. But the shadow here, you need to understand that this is above front left. So when I'm going to show you, that's why the shadow goes behind the object. So the shadow would come from here and go behind the object. Now the rest of the shadow comes from back here, this part of the ellipse that you can't see. It comes from right back here where this is touching the ground. And that is going to be parallel to the front. So you could just take your ruler and slide it back. Like that. Okay? Now, this part of the shadow is always going to be longer than this part of the shadow. Because if you make them the same size, the shadow will look funny. I'll show you that in just a second. So this is going to be longer. I'm going to make that a little bit longer. And then this is curved up here, so your shadow has the curve. Like that. Okay? Get rid of that little part right there. There we go. Okay? So there's your shadow for that. It's black where it's touching the object. So all this right here where it's touching the object is black. And as it moves out away from the object, it goes out to gray 8. Okay? If we did that from the opposite side, see if I can do it over here. Like that. Okay? This is exactly like this. I'm not going to draw the dotted lines here so you can see that. But this is going to come behind the object. And that's where that's coming from, is from where that's touching the ground. About like that. And then that has the curve right there. And then once again, it's black up against the object, and as it moves out here, it's gray 8. And all of this gets shaded like it's supposed to. Okay? Then if it comes from the center, there we go. If it comes from the center, let me fix that. I don't want it to be in that shadow so you guys can see it a little better. Let me move it down. I'll just move it down like this. There we go. coming from here. Then all of this gets shaded like it's supposed to. And then this, we're just going to put a little bitty thing right here like this. Like that. And that's the shadow for that. So it doesn't get much because the light's coming from above. So it just gets that little extra underneath. Okay. So there's your cylinder. All right. Here's your cone. And there's your cone there. I'm going to do that so I can show you. Probably should have done this one that way because I've got more room over here. Let me do this one that way because there's more room. There we go. And let me do the other one inverted. Like this. Okay, there we go. All right, so light's coming from over here. This gets shaded as normal. And the same thing happens. This goes behind the object, like that. Okay? There. Didn't do very well at the bottom down there. And then the same thing is here. You have the rest of that ellipse you can't see, but from where it's touching the ground right here, it comes out, and you make your point right there. Okay? And same thing. This is black against the object, and as it goes out that way, it goes out to gray 8. This one right here is a little different. You have the point standing on the ground. If it was inverted like this one and the light was coming from straight down, you would just have that little piece under it, just like you did the cylinder. Okay? I'll show you that in a second. But when it's like this, it's blocking light here, and it's blocking light here. So you get an ellipse for a shadow right there. And where it's closest, it's black right there and right there. And as it moves out away, that way, and that way, it goes out to gray 8. Okay? So just come straight down from here, and that's where your shadow should be. And then the other side, let's see if I can get over there. All right, there we go. That's going to be behind the object. Let me get a better, there we go. Behind the object. And that's behind the object. And once again, this is shorter than this, so that when you put the curve on, there we go, it looks like it's laying on the ground. And it's black going out to gray 8. My pen's not wanting to write very well. There we go. Black to gray 8. Okay? Now I told you I would show you why you do that, so let me do it on this. If I make these the same length, right here, doesn't matter if it's a cone, doesn't matter if it's a cylinder, if I make them the same length, here and here, and then I put a curve on it like that, it looks like somebody has taken the shadow, and instead of it being laying on the ground, it looks like somebody's taken the shadow and stood it up edgeways, this way. That doesn't look right. It should be there. Okay? And hopefully you can see the difference there, that is much better. Looks like it's laying down on the ground like it's supposed to be. All right? So, there's your cones. And let's do the spheres. All right. Okay, there's the spheres. Same thing happens with this. You come project down, and it's an ellipse like that. And it's black. Under the object right here, it's black, and as it goes out that way, and this way, and that way, it goes out to gray 8. All right? This one right here is behind the object. It's still an ellipse. There we go. And then it's black under the object. And as it goes out that way, it's gray 8. And this one, same thing. It's behind the object, and it's elliptical, and it's black under the object, and it's gray 8 out there. Make sure that they tip just behind the object like these are, and that they're elliptical. Okay? If you could see the rest of the ellipse, see if I can get the dots in. There we go. It would look something like that, where it's touching the ground back there at the back. But all you can see is the front part. So there you go. All of this, the shading for here, the shading for here, the shading for here, they all stay the same. The white is here, the black is over here, the white is here, the black is over here, the white is here, the black is down here, just from the light source coming from the different spots. All right, so in your sketchbook, once again, let me get these out of the way so that you can see. All right. I grab my sketchbook. I'll show you these. All right. There we go. There's what we have. You see my eye line is up high on the sketchbook, so do it up high so that all of your objects are below. Okay? I told you for this class, we're not going to worry about shadows for things that are up here. We're just going to learn to do these first, and then later on we may worry about the other ones. But these are the hard ones, or not the hard ones, these are the ones that you're easier to learn. So let's do these first. And you can see I have one from the top on this sphere with the shadow, and it's shaded in pencil, excuse me, with the shadow. I have another sphere that's in color with the shadow. I have a cylinder in pencil with the shadow. I have another cylinder in color pencil with the shadow, and I have a cone in color and a cone in pencil that are shaded and have their shadows. Okay, there we go. So that's what you need to do in your sketchbook, is do 2 of each, 2 cones, 2 cylinders, 2 spheres, 1 in color pencil and 1 in pencil for each one, and shade and shadow correctly. Okay? So that's the last thing in our sketchbook for cones and cylinders and spheres. And these pages are located in It's Learning in the project section. It's the cone cylinder sphere PDF. Okay, it's the Cone Cylinder Sphere PDF. You can see all of these pages. So there you go. And that's our last thing for cone cylinders and spheres in our sketchbook. Now we will do some projects with this so that I can see what you've learned.